Hello, viewers. Welcome to CodeForAny. Fruit markets, Flutter apps, designs inside to need to develop this here. The add new cards you have need to develop here. First of all, need to see these designs inside the XD files. Now need to open this here the XD files and look like this UI need to developing here. First of all, how to make like this here the UI? We need to write here the code. We need to create here the cards folders inside the new files and to give this here the name add underscore card screen dot like we need to write down here the titles of this file, and then after we need to create here the stateful widgets, and we need to give this here the name add card screen, and we need to also import here the material dependency. Then after we need to create here the scaffolds and to develop this here the app bars, and to developing here the app bars brackets constructors need to use. Need to set here the center titles, need to set this here the balls. Now we need to set this here the titles, as we need to set this here the text widgets need to use, and we need to give this here the title as a add your card. Like we need to set here the titles, and also need to set this here the styles. Set here the styles is equal to, need to set here the color is equal to a color white text. So we need to configure for this here the UI, and then after so we need to also configure this as the font size. Need to set here the fonts and medium fonts. Also need to set this here the font weight medium 500. So need to set for this UI, and now we need to create here the leading buttons. So need to develop here the leading icon buttons. We need to use here, and on press event need to write down here the on press click event context dot pop extension methods need to calls. If you not see here the second video, please first of all the see here the second video explain in details build context inside how to develop this pop extension methods. If you not develop, then to get this here the errors. Now we need to set here the icons, and we need to set icon dot array arrow back iOS, and we need to set this here the color three colors. White text colors we need to configure for this UI, and we need to configure this data like here's, and now need to save for this UI. We need to go inside here the checkout screen, and to configure this add new cards button. So need to configure here, need to find out this button here, and we need to set this data here. Now here need to get this here the text buttons inside. We need to call this here the context push extensions methods need to call here, and to use this here the const add card screens we need to put here, and we need to save this here, and now need to click events we need to set, and now need to opening this here the add your cards UI need to show here. Now need to develop here the scaffold, need to developing inside the body, need to write down here the body parameters. Inside we need to put this here the scroll view single child scroll to we need to use here, and we need to create here the childs. Need to set this here the value of the columns. We need to configure here and set here the cross axis elements. We need to set here the start. Now we need to create inside here the child's widgets. We need to put here first of all we need to set this here the center of here the image. Need to use this here the row like here's, and we need to make here the image assets, and we need to configure this here the already put here. So we need to check here for this image card demo image. We need to put copy relative path, and we need to paste this here, and we need to give this here the width. We need to also configure this here the context dot. We need to set here the width variables we need to use, and multiply we need to 70% of width. We need to give this here the screen size of this image, and we need to configure like this data, and to save and show like this here the UI. We need to decrease this here, so we need to set this here the 60% of the screens, maybe more downs we need to need 50% is now good here, and we need to set here the main axis alignments. We need to set here the centers like here show, and also make sure we need to set here the pairings for these widgets. We need to configure here like here we need to set paddings. We need to set here the symmetric horizontal, we need to set this here the 20, and also configure this here the vertical 20. We need to configure for this UI and show like this here the data. And now we need to develop this here the card holder name, card numbers, valid true, and CVV and CCVV. We need to add this here, and also need to save buttons need to put here, and add card numbers buttons also need to develop here. Now we need to give this here the some height space. We need to given this here, so need to use this here the size box, give this here the height. We need to set this here the 25 like, and to setting this here the width. Then now, then after we need to set here the text, and we need to set here the titles of these text fields. We need to given this here, and like here's card holder name, and we need to set this here the text styles. We need to apply here, so we need to set this here the color. T color secondary text we need to apply. Then after we need to set this here the font. We need to configure this here the font size 12 regular. So we need to configure for this UI, and save this here and show like this here the card holder name. We need to show for this line of codes. We need to write down here. And then after we need to already we need to develop here the common widgets of the text fields. We need to put here. We need to use this here the round text fields. We need to use here. Need to give this here the hint text. We need to enter card name. We need to set here and show like this here the UI. We need to put here like this show here. Again, so we need to copy this value of codes like here, and we need to set this here the comma, and we need to remove this here the card numbers or set here for this UI, and show like this here. So we need to decrease this here. So we need to set here the 8 is good for this UI. And now we need to create here the row like here, and we need to use this here the ref widgets with the expand. So we need to call here expanded like here, and we need to set here the comma like here. We need to copy here and 4 times paste this here. Now we need to give this here the here some width space sized boxed. Give this here the width. We need to configure this here the space. Need to set here the 8 equally every place like here. We need to configure this here for this data and remove this here the placeholders, no needs. Need to clean here and show like this here. So need to making here the card numbers, and also need to check here the keyboard type. Need to set this here the text input type, and we need to set here the numbers. Copy this keyboard, and we need to paste every place needed here, and also here like this. We need to configurations are the needs, and to set this here. And again, so we need to copy this data here, and we need to developing this here the here like this, and need to give this here the same as height space also need to put here, and we need to set this here the valid true. Titles we need to configure. Now we need to remove here these text fields. We need to no needs. We need to clean here, and we need to set here the YY like here, and we need to configure this here the numbers, and remove this here the expand, and we need to set here the size box, and to give this here the fixed width size box, give this here the width. We need to set this here the fix 120. Like you need to configurations for this UI, and we need to set this here the like here, and show like this here the valid true, and maybe need to set here 00 is good here, and show like this here the UI. Then after we need to set this here the CVV and CVC. Need to set here again, so need to copy this data with this row, paste here, and make sure so we need to remove this here, this data, and we need to set this here the CVV, CVC, and CVV. Like we need to needs here for this text, and also need to some titles we need to put here, and we need to set this here the text size box width. Need to set here the width 15. Like we need to configurations are the needs here, and to paste this here for this code, and we need to write down here the 3 or 4 digits like this code. We need to set for this UI. We need to configure this here. Now we need to again we need to give this here the some height space like here, and to first of all making here the add card buttons. We need to develop here round buttons, and to set this here the titles add card and number like here, and on press event need to call here and show like this here the UI, and we need to increase this here the space identify and save here and show like this data. Now we need to create here the icon button like here on press event, and we need to set this here the UI. Need to configure for this here the icons UI. We need to set here set here the icon, and we need to check box with this value. We need to set here, and we need to set this here the color. We need to configure this here the T color primary colors. We need to set here for these buttons, and also need to one flex for the set here bool is save. By default we need to set this here the false, and we need to check here the press events. If here the check, then to show this here the checkbox with tick, otherwise unchecked. Need to set here need to icons dot box, need to get this here the checkbox, rectangle square, need to write down here the checkbox blank rounded. Like this we need to set here the UI, and we need to set this here the state is saved not equal to not is saved, and reflect this here for this UI and show like this here. Increase this here the size. We need to set this here the 35 and show like this here. Check uncheck like this. Need to creating shares. If you like this video, please give the thumbs up. If you're new user, so please subscribe my channels and press the notification bell icon. You can get every new video notifications and awesome content. If you have any question, so please write down the comment sections. I will help you and sort out your issue. Everyone have a nice day. Goodbye and take care.